Hey, hello, Mr. Wineland here. As we are getting into the second half, part two of um, the slides here. We're getting into the Augustan Age. We talked about Octavian. He's the adopted son of Julius Caesar. His dad dies, and then he comes in and he basically takes over the government. He becomes what is known as a dictator after he crushes Mark Antony and Cleopatra. But unfortunately, they die. But he then comes in and instead of calling himself dictator, he calls himself the first citizen, and then he leads what is called the Augustan Age. So, and this is part of your answer number 6 as well. Roman Republic was the other answer. Augustus was the head of the state for more than 40 years, made smooth transition to new imperial government with power divided between him and the Senate. Most financial administrative matters under Augustine's control. We do see that Augustine, in the Augustan Age, which is answer number 8, started a program to bring peace to the West, particularly Gaul and Spain, which they had obtained after the Punic Wars. Began a series of conquests, pushed the border eastward into the Danube River. Also took special care of Rome itself. It led a legacy creating police force, fire brigades, stockpiled food and water, began building a program, presided over moral, religious reforms, great period of cultural creativity, great writers like Horace and Ovid Virgil. We do see Julio-Claudians and the Flavians would ultimately be a problem. Augustus, with all his success, would eventually die at AD 14. An emperor, the empire by Caesar's relatives would be ruled for another 54 years until the Julio-Claudian emperor's abilities varied widely to that when they came into power. Tiberius, a good soldier, competent administrator. We see Caligula, brutal, mentally unstable person, favored a horse as his counsel. And we see in AD 68, the last of the Julio-Claudians was Nero, who committed suicide. Nero actually was probably one of the more nasty, more threatening dictators of that time. Persecuted many people, Christians, had them killed for so many years. I mean, it was bad stuff. Like, he did some really brutal stuff. Like, he literally burned a city to the ground and blamed Christians for its destruction. And so that's how bad this dude was. And he was the one who called for it. So it's pretty messed up. So there's the Flavians, though. Following Nero's death, the civil wars raged on. 4 military leaders claimed the throne. The last was Vespasian, reestablished order, and did reigns of 2 sons. Stability returned under the Flavians. Then there's the good emperors. In AD 96, the line of emperors established by the good emperors. We see that 5 rulers governed Rome for almost a century, from provinces to different than Rome. Continuing opening Rome imperial society. We see the good emperors, which is our last answer, number 6. The empire grew tremendously and reached limits of expansion to under Trajan, and added what is now the Romanian, Armenian, Mesopotamia, and Sinai Peninsula. And the successor, Hadrian, thought the empire was growing too large, withdraw from most eastern additions, built defensive fortifications to guard against invasions, and built walls 73 miles long in northern Britain. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm missing number 9, there was a typo on the study guide. So number 9 will be in section 4, actually. So you want to look out for that. So let's see here. So here's the map of the Empire of Rome. You can see the Roman Republic. It lasted here. Again, it started here in Rome. It expanded north, south to these islands, and then Carthage. And then we see that eventually Caesar helped capture Gaul. We see that the other parts of this was added by during Caesar's time of Pompeii. We see that also we see the Empire of Augustus adding this stuff here in Egypt, and then extends his empire out here. This as well. During the time of the during the time of Rome is the Pax Romana. The interesting thing about the Pax Romana is it was basically a period of peace. It reigned from 27 BC until the death of the last good emperors in AD 180, and it's called the Pax Romana and it's called Roman peace because the government was stable, strong legal system, widespread trade and peace. I mean, here's the thing you have to understand is that empire building was very difficult because most empires, when they were built, they quickly toppled within a few years. It's not like they lasted for years upon years upon years. So you have a reign of roughly over 200 years here, and that's pretty amazing. That you see that Rome's empire really starting in 27 BC, is lasting up until AD 180. So it's quite an accomplishment. The government, Roman government, strongest unifying force in the empire, maintain order, enforce laws, defend the frontiers. Aristocracy participated, but emperors made all the important decisions. We see that there was provinces. These were kind of like little governorships where these governors controlled an aspect of the empire. So the provinces were ruled by governors who appointed, so like little states, and the governors controlled the states. So the provisional governments were fair, efficient. Government in Rome kept close check on the governors. Any citizen could appeal an unfair treatment directly to the emperor. Empire brought uniformity to the cities of the Mediterranean world, which were governed in imitation of Rome. So, as far as laws go, we see that Roman law unified the empire, didn't divide the empire, and law specified what could and could not be done. So you were basically let known, like, hey, you can go buy stuff, but you make sure you pay for it. Don't steal. Hey, you can go out and enjoy time out here, but make sure that you're off the streets at this certain time. So same laws applied to everyone in the empire wherever they live. Agriculture, we see primary occupation throughout the Pax Romana. Mostly the farms were independent with no surplus to sell. Tenant farmers replaced slaves at this time. We also see manufacturing is also growing in this time as well in Italy, Gaul, Spain, cheap property, textiles, fine glassware. So we're seeing a very big growth of the empire economically, and this would play a big role in how powerful Rome would be. But we are going to talk in section 4, the fall of Rome and how slowly this region right here is going to collapse, and how basically right here, which is going to be Constantinople. It's not Constantinople here; it's Byzantium. But it's going to be Constantinople. That basically the eastern half of this will be protected. However, this will be destroyed. All right, that's going to do it for section 2. See ya.